Hello, welcome back to Ancient History, the place where we uncover mysteries buried under the dust of thousands of years. There is a profound and often unsettling quiet that settles over the remnants of our past. It is a silence that speaks volumes, telling tales not just of life, but of death, fear, and the unknown rituals that governed ancient societies. These are stories etched in bone and stone, whispers from a time so distant it feels like another world entirely. What we unearth can sometimes challenge our understanding of history, presenting us with puzzles so strange, so disturbing, that they rival the most chilling works of fiction. Sit up straight, turn off the lights, and brace yourself. The human story is not always one of progress and enlightenment. It is also a chronicle of darkness, of beliefs and practices that can seem utterly alien to us now. The archaeological record is littered with evidence of this darker side. Discoveries that send a shiver down the spine and raise questions we may never be able to answer. These findings remind us that for all our modern knowledge, the past remains a vast, shadowy landscape, filled with terrors we are only just beginning to comprehend. Today, we're going to explore 12 of the most terrifying and unbelievable archaeological discoveries in human history. We will journey from the haunted tombs of Peru to the icy plains of Siberia, from the cursed graves of medieval Europe to the forbidden mausoleum of a Chinese emperor. Each discovery is a fragment of a nightmare, a real-life horror story that has been waiting for centuries to be told. Are you ready? If so, let's dive into the first discovery right now. In the arid highlands of Peru, a world away from the familiar empires of the Inca and the Maya, lies the forgotten legacy of the Wari civilization. In 2013, archaeologists broke through into a tomb that had been sealed for 1,300 years. What they found inside was not just the remains of a single ruler, but an entire royal court entombed in a chamber of bewildering complexity. This was the tomb of the Lord of Huer, a noble of immense power, and he was not alone. He was accompanied by over 60 individuals, including elite artisans, weavers and craftsmen, and several queens, each buried with treasures of gold and silver. But this was no ordinary burial. The scene that greeted the researchers was one of organized, yet profoundly strange ritual. The bodies were not simply laid to rest. Instead, they had been carefully arranged, bundled in fine textiles, and then most unnervingly moved. Skulls were found placed in niches, bones were gathered and reinterred in different locations within the tomb. It suggests a bizarre, ongoing relationship with the dead, a ritual of relocation and reorganization that defies simple explanation. Why did the Wari feel the need to disturb their most revered ancestors? What beliefs compelled them to rearrange the very bones of their queens and artisans long after their deaths? The tomb of the Lord of Huer is a silent testament to a culture whose views on life and death remain a terrifying enigma. The vast frozen expanse of Siberian permafrost is a remarkable repository of the past, a natural freezer that can preserve life for millennia. In 2015, prospectors searching for mammoth tusks stumbled upon something far more extraordinary. There, nestled in the frozen earth, were two cave lion cubs. They were not skeletons but perfectly preserved creatures, their fur, whiskers and even their internal organs intact after 12,000 years. They were named Uyan and Dina, and they looked as if they had died only moments ago, a pair of kittens curled up for a nap from which they would never wake. The discovery was a scientific miracle. These cubs provide an unprecedented window into the life of one of the most fearsome predators of the Ice Age. Analysis of their remains can tell us about their diet, their health, and the environment they inhabited. But the find also sparked a far more unsettling idea. With their DNA so immaculately preserved, the of cloning has inevitably been raised. Could we and should we resurrect a species that has been extinct for thousands of years? The image of these baby lions, so lifelike yet frozen in time, is a haunting reminder of a lost world, and it presents us with a profound ethical dilemma about playing God with the building blocks of life itself. In medieval Europe, fear was a palpable force, and few fears were as potent as the terror of the undead, of those who might return from the grave to plague the living. In an archaeological site in San Calosero, Italy, a chilling discovery brought this ancient dread to life. Here, they found the skeleton of a teenage girl, dating back to the early Middle Ages. She had not been given a proper Christian burial. Instead, she had been interred face down, a practice often used for outcasts, criminals, or those believed to be witches, done to prevent the deceased from rising again. But the horror did not end there. Analysis of the bones revealed telltale signs of a failed cremation. She had been burned, but the fire had not been hot enough to consume her body, merely scorching the flesh. It seems her community, terrified of what she might become, had attempted to destroy her body with fire, and when that failed, they resorted to this deviant burial. Was she accused of witchcraft? Did she suffer from a disease, like epilepsy, that was misunderstood as demonic possession? She is not alone. Similar burials have been found across Europe, grim testaments to a time when superstition could condemn a person not just in life, but in death as well. The girl of San Caloshiro remains a silent victim of a terrifying bygone paranoia. The necropolis of Deir el-Bahari in Egypt has yielded many of the world's most famous pharaohs. But, among the serene, gilded sarcophagi lies a discovery of pure nightmare fuel. In the 1880s, a royal cache was uncovered containing a number of mummies, but two, in particular, stood out for the most horrifying of reasons. Known as Unknown Man E and Unknown Woman A, these individuals were not found in peaceful repose. Their faces are frozen in a silent, eternal scream. Their heads are thrown back, their jaws agape, and their facial muscles are contorted in what appears to be unimaginable agony. For over a century, their identities and the cause of their horrific expressions have been the subject of intense debate and, honestly, supernatural folklore. Was it poison? Were they buried alive, screaming as the lid of their coffin was sealed shut? The visceral terror captured on their faces is so powerful that it's hard to believe it wasn't the result of some unspeakable torment. Recent studies on Unknown Man E suggest he may have been a disgraced prince, perhaps forced to commit suicide by poison or hanging. The crude mummification process, without removal of organs and wrapped in a simple sheepskin, hints at a hurried, shameful burial. But for Unknown Woman A, the mystery remains. These screaming mummies are a chilling departure from the peaceful afterlife the Egyptians so desperately sought. In 210 BC, Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of a unified China, was laid to rest in a mausoleum of unparalleled ambition and paranoia. While the world knows of his terracotta army, the thousands of life-size soldiers standing guard, the emperor's actual tomb remains a place of profound mystery and fear. Ancient texts, written by the historian Sima Qian a century after the emperor's death, describe a subterranean palace of unimaginable scale. It is said to contain models of palaces and pavilions, filled with rare treasures, and most terrifyingly, protected by rivers of liquid mercury designed to mimic China's great rivers, flowing into a mercury ocean. These ancient accounts also speak of crossbows, rigged to fire, automatically at any intruder who dares to enter. For centuries, these stories were dismissed as myth. However, modern scientific surveys of the tomb mound have revealed abnormally high concentrations of mercury in the soil, lending terrifying credence to the ancient historian's words. The sheer scale of the potential dangers, from deadly mercury poisoning to collapsing structures and ancient booby traps, has meant that, to this day, no one has dared to open the tomb. The final resting place of China's first emperor remains sealed, a silent, deadly monument to one man's obsession with immortality and his fear of being disturbed. In the year 1900, sponge divers exploring a Roman-era shipwreck off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera made a startling find. Among the statues and pottery, they recovered a lump of corroded bronze, which at first appeared to be nothing more than a rock. It was only later, when it broke apart, that its true nature was revealed. Inside was a complex system of interlocking gears and cogs, a device of such sophistication that nothing like it would be seen again for over 1,000 years. This is the Antikythera mechanism, an object that fundamentally challenges our understanding of the ancient world. Dated to around the 2nd century BC, this device is now understood to be a form of ancient analog computer. Using advanced X-ray and scanning technology, scientists have deciphered its purpose. It was an intricate astronomical calculator, capable of predicting the positions of the sun, moon, and planets, tracking the 4-year cycle of the Olympic Games, and even predicting eclipses. How could a civilization, 2,000 years ago, possess the mathematical and engineering knowledge to create such a complex machine? Who built it, and what other technological marvels have been lost to the depths of time? The Antikythera mechanism is a ghost from a forgotten technological past, a silent testament to a level of genius we are only just beginning to appreciate. The Neolithic period, or New Stone Age, is often imagined as a time of peaceful agricultural beginnings, of humanity first settling down. But a discovery made in Talheim, Germany, in 1983 shatters that idyllic image with brutal force. Here, in a single pit, archaeologists uncovered the remains of 34 individuals, men, women, and children. They had not died of disease or accident. They had been massacred. Every skull showed evidence of catastrophic trauma, wounds inflicted by the stone adzes, the axe-like tools of their own culture. The patterns of the injuries tell a chilling story. Most were struck from behind, suggesting they were fleeing when they were cut down. There were no defensive wounds, indicating the attack was a surprise, an overwhelming ambush. The victims were a mix of ages, from infants to adults, suggesting an entire family or small community was systematically exterminated. Were they killed in a raid over resources like land or cattle? Was this an act of ritual violence, a mass sacrifice? The bodies were unceremoniously dumped into the pit together, a final act of desecration. The Talheim death pit is a stark and terrifying window into the dawn of organized warfare, a reminder that human brutality is a deeply ancient phenomenon. In the desolate, windswept desert plains of southern Peru, an ancient mystery is etched into the very surface of the earth, visible only from high above. These are the Nazca lines, a series of enormous geoglyphs created by the Nazca culture between 500 BC and 500 AD. There are hundreds of individual figures, ranging from simple lines and geometric shapes to complex and stylized depictions of animals, a spider, a hummingbird, a monkey, a lizard. Some of these figures stretch for hundreds of meters, created by the painstaking removal of the reddish-brown iron oxide-coated pebbles that cover the desert floor. The sheer scale and precision of these lines are, honestly, baffling. How did the Nazca people create such massive, accurate figures without being able to see them from the air? And more importantly, why? Were they astronomical calendars, pathways for religious processions, or messages to celestial gods? Some more fringe theories have suggested they were landing strips for alien visitors. The dry, stable climate has preserved them for nearly 2 millennia, but it has not given up their secrets. The Nazca lines remain one of archaeology's most profound and visually stunning enigmas, a silent, sprawling art gallery for an audience that remains unknown. High in the Indian Himalayas, at an altitude of over 16,000 feet, lies a small glacial lake called Rupkund. For most of the year, it is frozen and unremarkable, but when the ice melts, a gruesome secret is revealed. The lake and its surrounding shores are littered with the skeletal remains of hundreds of people. For decades, the origin of these bones was a complete mystery, giving rise to local legends of pilgrims who angered a goddess and were struck down by her fury. When the skeletons were first seriously studied, it was thought they were the remains of a single catastrophic event, perhaps an army lost in a blizzard or an epidemic. However, recent DNA analysis has deepened the mystery to an almost unbelievable degree. The skeletons do not belong to one group of people or even from one time period. The remains are of at least 3 genetically distinct groups, deposited at the lake over a period of 1,000 years. One group, from around 800 AD, appears to be a family or tribe from South Asia, who all died from blows to the head, consistent with being caught in a sudden violent hailstorm of giant cricket ball-sized hailstones. But another group, from around 1800 AD, came from as far away as the eastern Mediterranean. What were people from Greece doing at this remote Himalayan lake, and how did they die? Rupkund is not the site of one tragedy, but many. A bizarre, high-altitude graveyard whose story becomes stranger with every new discovery. There exists a book, held in Yale University's library, that has baffled every cryptographer, linguist, and historian who has ever attempted to study it. It is known as the Voynich manuscript, a 240-page codex written in an entirely unknown script and filled with illustrations that are as bizarre as they are beautiful. The text flows elegantly across the pages, but it corresponds to no known language. It has its own alphabet and appears to follow grammatical rules. Yet, it remains completely indecipherable. It has resisted all attempts at translation, including by the world's best codebreakers from World War I and II. The illustrations are just as perplexing. They depict fantastical, unidentifiable plants, astronomical charts with strange zodiacs, and surreal scenes of small naked figures bathing in elaborate plumbing systems, connected by tubes and flowing with a strange green liquid. The manuscript has been carbon dated to the early 15th century, but its author, its purpose and its meaning are a complete blank. Is it the lost language of a forgotten culture, an elaborate alchemical text, a complex cipher carrying a hidden message, or simply the most intricate and convincing hoax ever created? The Voynich manuscript is a locked room mystery in book form, a beautiful and frustrating monument to the unknown. In 2009, during the construction of a new road in Dorset, England, workers unearthed a mass grave that told a story of savage, calculated violence. The pit contained the skeletons of 54 young men, all of whom had been decapitated. Their heads were found in a separate pile from their bodies. Isotope analysis of their teeth revealed that they were not locals. They had grown up in a cold climate, consistent with Scandinavia. These were Vikings, and they had met a brutal end on English soil sometime between 970 and 1025 AD. The scene was one of a systematic execution, not a chaotic battle. The cut marks on the neck vertebrae were clean and precise, but there were also signs of hesitation and multiple blows, suggesting the executions were not straightforward. Many of the skeletons showed defensive wounds on their hands and arms, indicating they fought for their lives before being overwhelmed. Who were these men? A captured raiding party? And who were their executioners? The local Anglo-Saxons, rising up against their tormentors? The burial is a chilling snapshot of the brutal reality of the Viking Age, a time of raid and reprisal, where capture could mean a gruesome and dishonorable death far from home. The pit is a silent witness to an ancient act of vengeance. Few archaeological artifacts are so shrouded in myth and controversy as the crystal skulls. These are human-sized skulls, intricately carved from single solid blocks of clear or milky quartz crystal. For decades, they have been objects of fascination, with legends attributing them to ancient Mesoamerican civilizations like the Maya or the Aztec. Believers claim they possess supernatural powers, the ability to heal, to expand consciousness, and to hold the collective knowledge of a lost civilization. The most famous of these, the Mitchell Hedges skull, is said to be so perfectly carved that it defies modern explanation. However, the cold light of scientific scrutiny has cast a deep shadow of doubt on these fantastic claims. Electron microscope analysis of several of the most famous skulls, including those in the British Museum and the Smithsonian, has revealed tool marks that could only have been made by modern 19th century rotary carving tools, not the hand tools of ancient Mesoamericans. It seems most, if not all, of these enigmatic objects are likely clever forgeries, created in Europe in the 1800s to be sold to wealthy collectors fascinated by the occult. Yet, the mystery doesn't entirely disappear. They remain objects of incredible craftsmanship, and the allure of their supposed ancient power continues to captivate, blurring the line between archaeology and folklore in a truly terrifying way. And so, our journey through the darker corridors of human history comes to an end. From the restless dead of Peru to the eternally screaming mummies of Egypt, from the indecipherable whispers of the Voynich manuscript to the silent, watching eyes of the Nazca lines, we have seen how the past can be a place of profound terror. These discoveries are more than mere curiosities. They are fragments of real human experience, echoes of fear, violence, and belief systems that challenge our modern sensibilities. They serve as a humbling reminder that for every question we answer about our ancestors, a dozen more, far more disturbing questions, often arise in their place. The world beneath our feet is not a peaceful graveyard. It is a library of nightmares, a chronicle of horrors both natural and man-made. The stories we have explored today are not fiction. These were real people who lived and died in circumstances we can barely begin to fathom. The terror they inspire comes from this very reality, from the knowledge that the human story is written not just in triumphs of art and science, but also in blood, bone, and inexplicable dread. The silence of these ancient sites is heavy with unspoken tales, and perhaps it is for the best that some of them will never be fully told. Thank you for joining us on this unsettling exploration. The past is never truly dead, and it has many more terrifying secrets waiting to be unearthed. If you found this journey into the abyss as fascinating as we did, be sure to like this video and subscribe to Ancient History for more deep dives into the mysteries that lie buried beneath the dust of thousands of years. Until next time, be careful what you dig for. You might just find it.